welcome back to English from A to Z, English in real life. So let's talk about something really specific. You've done the work, right? Your grammar is solid, you've got a great vocabulary, you're at that advanced C1 level. But then you jump into a real conversation, or you turn on a movie without subtitles, and suddenly it's just a whirlwind of words you can't quite catch. Sound familiar? Today, we are going to break down the super frustrating gap between knowing English and actually understanding it when it's spoken in the real world. It really does feel like this, doesn't it? Like you're trying to catch smoke. You know the words are in there, but they just seem to slip right through your fingers. And hey, if that sounds familiar, you are so in the right place. This is an incredibly common feeling, and we're going to get into exactly why it happens and, more importantly, what you can actually do about it. All right, so let's dive into the first major hurdle. It's a completely natural instinct, totally understandable for language learners, but ironically, it's one of the biggest things holding you back from really getting what's going on. I know, this sounds completely backwards, but trying to catch and process every single word is just exhausting, and it's not realistic. Real spoken English isn't neat and tidy like in a textbook. It's messy. People use shortcuts, they use slang, they use contractions. Half the time, they don't even finish their sentences. The second you get hung up on that one word you missed, boom, the conversation has already moved 5 steps ahead and you're left behind. So, what's the secret? Well, it's all about a massive shift in your mindset. You have to stop trying to connect every single little puzzle piece perfectly. Instead, I want you to step back and try to see the whole picture. The goal isn't to understand every single word, it's to understand the overall message, to really get the gist of what's being said. So, how do you actually practice this? First, become a detective. Use context clues. What's the general topic? What's the speaker's tone of voice telling you? Next, you've got to expose yourself to all kinds of audio to train your ear. And here's a little pro tip for using transcripts. Don't use them to check every word you missed. No, listen first, try your best to get the main idea, and then just glance at the transcript to confirm if you were on the right track. It's an amazing confidence booster, trust me. Okay, so building on that idea of messy English, our next big challenge is decoding the way people actually talk. You can think of it like learning a secret code that your textbooks probably forgot to tell you about. And this brings us to something called connected speech. This is basically the way individual words smush and blend together in a sentence. For example, a native speaker almost never says go on. It comes out sounding more like go on. And it's not just about talking fast. It's about how sounds link up, how they change, and sometimes how they disappear completely. This is a huge reason why a word you know perfectly on paper can sound like a totally foreign word when you hear it spoken. So how in the world do you crack this code? It's really a two-step process. First, just start paying attention. Actively listen for these connections when you hear native speakers. Just notice how the words flow together. Second, you can practice a really powerful technique called shadowing. This is where you listen to a short piece of audio and you try to repeat what you hear almost at the same time, like you're their shadow. The point isn't perfect pronunciation. It's about catching the rhythm, the music of the language. Now, if you're struggling to hear those connections at full speed, which is totally normal, by the way, just slow down the audio. Most players let you do this. Think of it exactly like this. It's like putting training wheels on for your ears. It lets you hear really clearly how all those sounds blend together. Then, once you start feeling more comfortable, you can gradually speed it back up to normal. And of course, we can't talk about natural speech without talking about accents. From a British accent to an Australian one to Indian English, the variety can feel like a massive challenge. But you know what? There's no secret trick here. The answer is simple. Exposure, exposure, exposure. The more accents you listen to, the more your brain builds this sort of database of accents, and it starts to recognize all those different patterns automatically. All right, so once you start getting the hang of decoding the sounds of natural speech, there's another layer, and this one's a little trickier. We're talking about decoding the meaning. This is where we get into that nuanced world of subtext. Understanding what someone means, not just what their words say. Just think about this simple phrase. Oh, great. If I say it with a big smile, oh, great, it's positive, right? But what if I say it with a flat, sarcastic tone? Oh, great. It means the absolute opposite. If you only listen to the words at face value, you are missing a massive part of the conversation. The tone of voice can completely flip the meaning of an entire sentence. Another layer of this hidden meaning comes from idioms. Take the phrase, throw in the towel. Literally, yeah, it means throwing a piece of cloth. But what it really means is to give up or quit. As you can see here, the literal and figurative meanings can be worlds apart. Context is absolutely everything when it comes to idioms. So, how do you get better at this stuff? Well, you can start by paying way more attention to tone of voice. Actively look for common patterns of sarcasm. And here's a fantastic tip. Watch sitcoms. Seriously, they are an absolute gold mine for hearing idioms and sarcasm used in natural, funny contexts. And then you can use things like flashcard apps to help you remember the new ones you pick up. Okay, we have covered the main obstacles. We've talked about the challenges. Now, let's pull all these ideas together into a simple, actionable toolkit that's going to help you build confidence and really master these listening skills once and for all. But before we get to the full toolkit, let me ask you a quick question. Do you ever find your mind just wandering during a long conversation or a podcast? It's so easy to slip from active listening into just passively hearing sounds. The tools we're about to cover are specifically designed to keep your brain switched on, engaged, and anchored in the conversation. So here it is, your toolkit for success. First, combine all the techniques we've already talked about. Use those transcripts to check main ideas, practice shadowing to get the flow, and always seek variety in what you listen to. Now, let's add 2 more powerful habits. First, try to mentally summarize what you're hearing every few minutes. It forces your brain to stay active. And finally, when you're feeling up for it, start practicing in places with background noise, like in a coffee shop. It's the ultimate real-world test. And here is maybe the most important takeaway of all. If you are experiencing any of these struggles, please know you are not alone. These are incredibly common challenges, even for the most advanced learners. It is not a sign that you're failing, it's just a totally normal part of the journey to true fluency. So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Now that you're aware of these challenges and you have a whole toolkit to start tackling them, what action are you going to take? What specific type of English audio? Is it a podcast, a news report, maybe just one scene from a movie? What are you going to choose to listen to today to put these insights into practice?